That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet.
When you could not prove anyone right or wrong, all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation.
We hope you enjoy our conversations, and as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," send us a comment. You're one of us. What's transmitting?
So what it uses is called long-range radio waves. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation just like we did before the internet. No Google, no fact checking.
Just like you're sitting around the college dorm.
And someone says something like, there exists an off-the-grid, encrypted wireless network that anyone can join.
What?
You can send text messages and small packets of data.
Wait, say that again. Because this doesn't sound right already.
See? It's an off-the-grid, encrypted
All right, wait, stop.
wireless network.
How can it be off the grid? Because it is a grid. How is it off the grid? What grid is it?
It doesn't use the big cell towers, and it doesn't use electricity.
How do you do it?
Uh-huh.
Is there a secret to it?
Isn't that crazy?
Is it ham radio?
It's not ham radio, no. Now, it's interesting you mentioned ham radio. I found out something about ham radio the other day. A guy I work with, his dad was into it. And I had no idea that there are public repeaters out there that you can send your signal to, and it repeats it and makes it go further.
Radio repeaters.
Yeah, for ham radio users. And then there's also private repeaters. Some people have their own repeaters to help the ham network go.
So I guess you have to be in that network.
You kind of have to know that
network. To know, yeah.
Well, you probably just have to know the frequency, but once you know the frequency, But anyway, this is different. What's
transmitting?
So what it uses is called long-range radio waves.
Okay.
All right. And they run in the 900 megahertz range.
Megahertz, yep.
Those particular ranges are unregulated. They use...
So you don't have to have a license to broadcast?
Nope.
Because a ham radio has to have a license.
Sure you do.
Okay, all right.
And these long-range radios can go anywhere from 3 to 10 to 20 miles, but they're line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have line of sight.
Okay.
They can go through some structures and trees, but it's, weakens the signal. And so what happens is people have created these nodes, these little wireless network nodes, and they use super low energy, so you don't have to have electricity. But most people have a battery. I mean, a little solar panel to keep the charge of the battery good. And once you find out about these, then you can either use your own transmitter. Well, you need your own transmitter, but you use your phone connected via Bluetooth to your transmitter, and then off you go. You're communicating. So you use your phone. One of the ways you can do it, use your phone, and it doesn't have to be a phone on a network. You just use your phone with a Bluetooth connection. You connect to your transmitter. That's your interface that you send text messages.
But each node has to be line of sight with the next node.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a lot of nodes.
Well, but you imagine that people start doing this, you create this network that everyone gets to be on. And so it's like you writing 3 Post-it notes. You're in a classroom, you write 3 Post-it notes, and you hand it to a message, and you give it to somebody. You give it to 3 people, and then they write 3, and they spread the message. Until someone gets the Post-it note. And if one doesn't do it, it's all right. You have all these other people that have sent it. The difference is between that and the Post-it note, it's encrypted. So the person receiving it has the encryption and sees your message.
Can't read it.
They can read it.
No, the person that's supposed to read it. Right.
The one that's supposed to read it can read it. And so
I've got so many questions.
Isn't this crazy, though?
How'd you learn about this?
This guy at work, we were talking about survival. I asked him how he's getting survival. He said, I just went down these rabbit holes and stuff. Then he told me about this rabbit hole he went down. There was a reel on Facebook. He shared it with me.
This is a very timely subject.
Why is that?
Because I get pop-ups now every day for rapid radios.
Rapid radios. What is this?
Well, now I'm wondering if it's the same technology because they're very cagey about how they work. But I think they work off of the cell towers.
Okay.
So even if cell towers are down, they're still using, I don't know what they're using, but they seem to be connected to the major cell towers.
Okay.
But that's not what you're talking about.
No, this is not at all. This is complete societal breakdown. Power goes out, cell network goes down, these will still work.
Okay, you know, because we had the Nextel push to talk for a while.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that was nationwide.
Right.
But that was using the cell towers.
Still using the cell
power.
towers, right.
But you think there's enough repeaters for me to talk to somebody in Virginia?
No, I don't think so, because the
how far can I talk?
It depends on the network. So there's this Mesh Static. It's kind of the brand or the company that makes these radios. And then they've kind of create this ecosystem, this community, and then you can look there and you can see where these meshes, these networks are going on. There's no one talking about a network here in North Carolina, for instance. So we couldn't get out of the state, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for instance, there's a big one around Denver.
Okay.
Huge one around Denver. And so, I mean, you could talk all around Denver and in the suburbs. I forgot how long you could go. But part of it got started with these people who feel strongly about colonizing Mars. All right? And so they would do these...
This is sounding more and more not right.
They would do these expeditions where they would be analog astronauts they would simulate going out into the desert, but they wanted to figure out a way to communicate. And so they came up with at least I don't know if they came up with the system, but this is the primary system they use to communicate. So when someone goes out on an expedition, they can always maintain radio contact because they set up this network out in the desert. So they can always, and there are no cell towers out there, so they can go out there and do their experiments and pretend to be astronauts or not pretend, but simulate being an astronaut, simulate exploring a hostile environment.
So if I want to talk to you via this.
Yeah, you and I could do it. I have no doubt.
But we'd have to set up a repeater somewhere between my house and your house.
Maybe. I've seen pictures where they put it in the trees. They literally put it in the trees.
We could put one in the park.
Yeah.
That's halfway between us.
Yeah.
And then see, we need to try this.
I think we need to try it.
Yeah, we need to try it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we could just use a CB radio. I think that would also work too.
Well, now I'm interested in this because you say it's low power.
It's very low power. And the radio itself is... The design of the radio, if it's not doing if it's not receiving or transmitting, it goes into super low power mode to conserve energy.
So you have to buy one of these radios. You have to buy a station.
You should buy one of these radios. You could build your own. There's plans on there to build your own, but
and you would have one.
They're $30,
and you could send, but just packets, text messages, basically.
Just text messages.
Leave house now.
That's right. They're coming.
They're coming. Run. Yeah, just run. Are you in? Period.
Isn't this crazy?
Yeah.
It don't sound right, but...
No, it doesn't sound right.
But I like it. I really like the idea. I mean, I have a good friend up in Virginia, and we've always talked about, okay, if something were to go down, where would we meet?
Right.
Well, we wouldn't have a way of communicating, but this could open that up.
Well, that's where like these rapid radios have come in.
Okay.
Is that, again, they're not using the traditional cell signals, but they're on the same towers, I think.
Yeah.
I have not yet quite figured out what their network is. But it's not this, obviously. There's something else. But again, if the cell towers go down, I would think they say that they can communicate even if the cellular's out.
Yeah.
But you're not going to know that for sure until cellular's out.
That don't sound right. Right. Yeah. Right. And those things rarely go out.
I like this.
Because those things have backup generators. Yeah. The cell towers have backup generators. They rarely go out.
We need to figure out if we can do that between our two
Wouldn't
houses.
that be great?
Yeah. We'd have our own network.
We could.
Yeah.
Then we could set it up around Winston.
That makes sense.
And then you could put a repeater up on Pilot Mountain.
It's got to be all line of sight, right?
And you can see line of sight. You can see that they've been able to do 10 miles? They've been able to do 10 miles with line of sight.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Then I'm in.
I figured you would.
Yeah. We need to figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is timely because people are thinking about how do you communicate, because we've become so dependent, like not having hardwired phone in your house anymore.
You're done.
Right. You don't have landlines anymore. Everything's very, very cellular dependent. And if there were, people who prepare for these kind of things, if there was some type of attack that took out the cellular network, how would you communicate with family that's far flung?
For some reason, Bunny and I have been watching some of these movies.
It's been
yeah. Have you? There's a book called Station 11. I think we might have mentioned that on a prior episode. Yeah. So the internet goes down, everything goes down, and this would work. This would really work.
We need to try it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how many transmitters, receiver. I don't know all the equipment. We'd have to do a little research, but it's out there, and then is a rabbit hole you go down quick.
I'm sure I'm sure it's trouble. All that survival stuff.
Yeah.
So you've started watching post-apocalyptic movies?
Well, we watched one, that's Station 11, that was post-apocalyptic. And the other one was one that was the apocalypse was happening. That basically, it was basically a societal breakdown that there was two factions in the United States that were attacking each other, but they didn't know why they were attacking each other. That was the creepy thing. They didn't know. And it was the sub-story of these two families that ran into each other, and they're trying to figure out what to do and how to survive with each other.
One of my favorite books growing up.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember what grade I read it in, but it was pretty early. Was Alas, 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 Babylon.
Okay.
And it's the whole story of a community trying to survive after a nuclear attack. Okay. That was big in the 80s. Yeah. 70s, 80s. We were all,
we're always,
there's all that was in there. Because that's when they did The Day After. Remember that movie series they did that was so disturbing to everybody?
I do remember that one. That was wild stuff.
So this was called The Last Babylon, and it was about this community trying to figure out how to live post-nuclear war.
And that was a book.
Love that book. Yeah, and The Last Babylon came from, there was two brothers, and one was stationed in Washington, D.C., and the premise was if he ever called and said, Alas, Babylon, the other brother was supposed to go meet him at this spot.
Oh, really?
And that's how the book kind of starts off, is his brother calls and says, Alas, Babylon, and it kicks off the whole story.
Wow.
Yeah. The guys that normally do this are the ham radio guys.
So, yeah.
But you have to have license for that.
To transmit.
Right. Which
makes me wonder.
So they'll know.
Well, how does anyone know whether you have a license or not? I mean, you're holed up in the middle of the woods. You turn on your transmitter, you start talking. I mean, how does anyone know?
I've wondered that too. How do you know because especially if you're using it intermittently, if you're not broadcasting like a show,
right?
How are they going to know if you're using it or not?
Right.
But that bounces off if you want to go like 300 miles with a ham radio or further, you have to do it like at dusk on certain weather conditions because you're bouncing it off the stratosphere.
Right.
You're bouncing those radio waves
stratosphere,
off.
Ionosphere.
Ionosphere, yeah. You're bouncing the waves off and trying to bounce it to the other.
Right.
And they use repeaters too, I think.
Yeah, this is what this guy was saying. His dad was using repeaters.
But those guys, in the past, in times of war, have been sources of communication.
Yes,
and have communications go down, that ham network. I wonder if there are people that get into that anymore. I wonder if younger and younger people are getting into ham radios.
That's a good question.
I mean, we had a ham radio guy that lived next to us growing up.
Yeah, he had the big
he had the big antenna.
I had one 2 doors down from me.
Yeah.
He had a big old tower.
And he would mess up everybody's TV.
Same here.
Yep.
Whenever he was transmitting.
Yep, he was. And so he would have to transmit after everybody quit their TV watching it for the night. And he had big, I don't know how, as you know, my measurement of height has been questioned on this show in the past, but it seemed to be a tall antenna.
Pretty tall antenna.
It was taller than his house.
I mean, this guy had, it was a triangular cross section.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it
that
was
big.
It was 1, 2, 3 panels, tower up, something. I mean, it was pretty, I don't know if he had guy wires holding it, but I think he did.
This guy had his own transmission house.
Yeah.
Where he had a little hobby house out back where he had all his stuff set up and the antenna.
So, but here's the thing. Ham radio is no good if you don't have electricity.
Yeah. But this doesn't operate on electricity.
This does not operate on electricity. That's right.
Well, it has to have a little electricity.
It needs some, the batteries could die, right? But if you have solar panels and a rechargeable battery, it's going to go a long, long time.
All right. Maybe we'll start a podcast on the network.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, no, we can't.
You can't.
You're only doing texts, man.
That's right.
228 letter texts.
That's it.
It is tiny, but that's the advantage of it. That's why it's low power, and you can go long range.
Well, how does it show up on your device? I guess it shows up on the note field.
One way to do it is it's on your device. Your device is connected via Bluetooth. I don't know. Yeah. Well, if you use your phone.
No, I mean, otherwise you have a little screen.
Otherwise, you'd have to have something on you'd probably have to have a computer.
I think we combine this with a couple of good guard emus and a low-power communication system.
I think we could survive.
Now we're on to something.
Now, how's your garden right now?
My garden?
Your garden.
It's about like it normally is.
So we're going to starve to death. We'll be able to talk to each other.
No, we're 100% going to starve to death.
We're going to have to eat the emus.
Yeah, I have to eat the emus. Yeah, no, we're starving to death in my garden unless you can. Yeah, we establish a way to communicate with each other when everything goes down. What do we communicate with each other?
What are we going to say?
Yeah, what am I going to say? Hey, how are you doing?
Well, I think it's the situation that we'd be in. So, for instance, during the pandemic, right, when we can at least communicate that, are you okay? I'm okay.
Yeah, right.
I'm not okay.
Do you have salt?
I need salt. I need tomatoes.
Yeah.
Where have you seen my emu? So that's the other thing. But I mean, I think the other way you do it is you probably have to set up some other ways to communicate ahead of time. Oh, ask Babylon.
Yeah.
So I tell you, the power goes out, and I find out something, you find out something, and you type in the last Babylon. Then we know to get our bug out bags, get our family out of there.
Right. And that's the difficult part is I was talking about this over the last few weeks too, is in a situation like that, do you have and you don't have to say this on the podcast, but do you have a place you would go? Do you have a place in your mind that you would go?
Yeah, I do. I do have a place in mind I would go. Yeah.
Because, if you're leaving a population center like Winston, you have to have a place to go. So if you don't have land of your own,
right,
you have to have kind of this spot in your head that you think you're going to be able to not be found, have water, have food.
Right. I mean, realistically, I have a place where I would want to go. I don't think I would go there. I think where we live here is pretty good.
Right.
I think we're off the grid somewhat. We're off. We're in a major city, but it's not a huge city.
Yeah.
I've got a good piece of land that I could grow crops if I needed to. There's a creek really close to my house. I can get water.
Oh, you mean in an existing house?
Yeah. I could stay in my house.
Right.
I think I could stay. I mean, I think going to a place, needing a place to go is if you live in a city.
Yeah.
Because you can't live in a high rise without electricity or water.
No.
You just can't. You got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's where you need to fit. Those are the kind of people that need a place to go. I think we could stay put. I don't think we have to go far. Yeah,
if you could stay in a suburban area like this and then convert like your front yard to a field.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're surrounded by water here, typically surrounded by water.
Right. I mean, I've never seen Silas Creek go dry.
No. But now when you've got
everyone drawing water,
100,000 people to draw water out of this sudden.
Well, we started digging the well.
Yeah. Then we got to figure out how to do that.
Maybe that's another skill we need to.
We'll discuss that on the podcast. We didn't mean to turn into your survival radio podcast.
That's right.
We don't have people listening to us now going, these two guys are nuts.
Your new listener is not.
Yeah, they just tuned out. They're a bunch of survivalists. We're not, but we have thought about it. All right. We've probably lost half our listing office. They've
thanks for sticking around, everybody.
Yeah, well, it was a good run, Peter. Alas, Babylon.
So that's the code word for me to say, thanks everyone for listening. If this is the first time you've listened to our show and enjoyed it, consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with. If you're that long-time listener, give us a rating, leave us a review, tell somebody else.
Join our secret repeater network.
Yeah, let us know. You can have the TDSR. It's called a LoRaWAN. LoRaWAN, long-range wide area network.
Well, just this week, it was suggested that we offer premium material. Maybe that's it. You get to join our
wireless network.
You get to join our wireless network.
So you get to listen to our, or you get a transcript of the podcast in 288 character texts over the period of the week.
That's when you're a loyal listener.
That is.
All right. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer, and soon to be part of your network engineering. Peter will be your other network engineer, your other host, and your web designer. Camille's your barista. Emily does your graphic design. Elle does your Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. Brent is our international brand ambassador. And as always, listener number one is Scott. So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.